Today, we're going to take a heartfelt look back at the unforgettable cast of The Karate Kid 2010. Some of these young stars have gone on to build incredible careers, and others have taken surprising turns away from the spotlight. Can you still hear Mr. Han's quiet wisdom? Do you remember the epic rooftop training scenes and the final breathtaking kick that made us all cheer? It's hard to believe it's been 15 years since Dre Parker first stepped into the ring and into our hearts. In this video, we'll explore what happened to the talented cast, from their real names and ages during filming to how they look today and where life has taken them in 2025. Each chapter revisits a familiar face, their breakout role, the challenges and victories that followed, and the lives they're living now. If you've ever found inspiration in their journey, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. We've got more nostalgic stories just around the corner. And wait until you see actor number 4. You won't believe how different they look today. In The Karate Kid 2010, Dre Parker was the heart of the story. A young boy uprooted from Detroit to Beijing, struggling to find his place in a foreign world. His journey from fear to fierce resilience captured the spirit of perseverance. From being bullied to mastering Kung Fu under Mr. Han's guidance, Dre's transformation was powerful and inspiring. Played by Jaden Smith, who was only 11 when the film was released, Dre became a symbol of youthful courage. At the time, Jaden was already in the spotlight as Will Smith's son, but this role proved he had a unique charisma of his own. Now in 2025, Jaden is 27 years old, having pursued music and fashion more than acting. He's become a voice for mental health and environmental activism, reflecting a growth that echoes Dre's journey. Though many years have passed, audiences still remember that final tournament scene, the slow-motion kick, the swelling music, and the boy who stood up for himself with honor. Mei Ying was Dre's quiet anchor in a chaotic world, a gifted violinist whose kindness bridged cultures. Her relationship with Dre was tender and innocent, but also tested by strict expectations from her family and society. She symbolized beauty, discipline, and the cost of personal dreams. Mei Ying was portrayed by Wen Han, who was just 15 when the film was released. At the time, Wen was a trained dancer and violinist in real life, making her performance feel authentic and heartfelt. After The Karate Kid, Wen stepped away from acting for several years, pursuing her passion for music and personal life away from the public eye. Now in 2025, she is 30 years old, reportedly active in China's entertainment scene again, more selective and mature in her projects. Mei Ying's rooftop scene with Dre, watching the city lights and sharing dreams, remains one of the film's most delicate and memorable moments. Mr. Han wasn't just a kung fu teacher. He was a broken man hiding behind silence, pain, and ritual. As Dre's reluctant mentor, Mr. Han transformed from a recluse into a guiding force, showing that healing can come from helping others. His jacket on, jacket off lesson became iconic, turning simplicity into strength. Played by the legendary Jackie Chan, Mr. Han was unlike any of his previous roles, somber, quiet, and deeply emotional. Known for his action comedy legacy, Jackie surprised audiences with the dramatic depth he brought to this character. He was 56 when the movie premiered, and as of 2025, at 71, Jackie remains active, a global icon still performing, directing, and inspiring. His performance as Mr. Han especially the scene where he breaks down in front of Dre, left a lasting emotional impact. It reminded viewers that behind every master is a man with scars and immense love to give. Sherry Parker was the rock in Dre's life, a single mother navigating a new culture, a new job, and a son struggling to adapt. She balanced firmness and warmth, reminding Dre and us that strength sometimes comes in quiet support. Played by Taraji P. Henson, Sherry was both funny and fierce and brought a vibrant, grounded energy to the role. Taraji was 39 when the film premiered, already celebrated for her versatility and powerful screen presence. Since then, she's gone on to lead major roles in Empire, Hidden Figures, and beyond. In 2025, at age 54, Taraji continues to be a force in Hollywood, producing and advocating for mental health and women of color in entertainment. Her portrayal of Sherry gave depth to what could have been a side character, making her a real, relatable figure. That final hug with Dre after his victory still resonates with audiences who know the strength it takes to raise a fighter. Master Lee was the embodiment of fear and discipline, a harsh instructor who ruled his students with intimidation and absolute control. As the head of the Fighting Dragons, he trained Chung and the others to be merciless, teaching that mercy is for the weak. His presence in the film was chilling, a true antagonist whose cold philosophy contrasted sharply with Mr. Han's compassion. Played by Chinese actor Yu Rongguang, Master Lee became a memorable villain not through physical fights, but through psychological pressure. Yu was 52 when the movie came out and was already respected in martial arts cinema, having starred in numerous Chinese historical and action films. In 2025, at 67, Yu remains active in China's film industry, often appearing in historical epics and television dramas. Master Lee's cold stare and final disapproval when Chung bows to Mr. Han captured the real triumph of humility over cruelty, a lesson far deeper than just kung fu. Chung was the face of Dre's torment, a skilled student of kung fu who bullied with precision and cruelty. But beneath his aggression was a boy shaped by fear, control, and the teachings of Master Lee. Cheng, portrayed by Zhenwei Wang, became one of the most recognizable teen antagonists of the decade. Off-screen, Zhenwei was a national wushu champion in China before he was cast at just 14 years old. His martial arts background gave Cheng's movements a frightening sharpness, especially in the early fight scenes. Yet, by the final act, when he bows in respect to Mr. Han, Cheng's silent moment of growth speaks volumes, a rare redemption in youth cinema. After the film, Zhenwei returned to China, appearing in a few action projects before largely stepping away from acting. As of 2025, now 29, he remains a martial artist, but has kept a low profile. Cheng's arc reminds us that even villains can change when shown mercy. Liang was one of Cheng's closest allies, a loyal student of Master Lee, often seen smirking at Dre's pain or joining in the bullying. While not as prominently featured, Liang contributed to the film's emotional stakes, representing the crowd mentality that fuels cruelty. His martial arts skills were sharp, and his obedience to Chung revealed how toxic mentorship can shape young minds. Liang was portrayed by Bo Jiang, a young Chinese martial artist trained in wushu. Though he had limited lines, his physical performance helped build tension in many scenes, especially during the schoolyard ambush and tournament preliminaries. After the film, Bo continued studying martial arts and appeared in a few regional competitions, but stepped away from international acting. In 2025, now in his late 20s, he is said to work as a coach in a sports academy. Liang's character reminds us how easily young people can be influenced and how true strength lies not in power, but in choice. Mei Ying's father was a figure of strict authority, a man who held deep respect for tradition and discipline. His stern opposition to Dre's growing friendship with his daughter created one of the story's most culturally charged tensions. Portrayed by Jensu Wu, he brought a commanding, quietly intimidating presence to the screen. Though his dialogue was minimal, his expressions and body language spoke volumes, especially in the scene where he forbids Mei Ying from seeing Dre after she misses her audition. Jensu Wu, a respected Chinese actor with a background in dramatic roles, delivered a performance that felt rooted in authenticity. By 2025, Wu remains active in Chinese cinema and television, often playing authority figures or fathers. His performance in The Karate Kid still resonates with audiences for its realism, a portrayal not of a villain, but of a father doing what he believes is right in a world rapidly changing around him. Mei Ying's mother was a quiet counterbalance to her husband's stern authority, a woman who observed much, said little, and felt deeply. Her presence, while subtle, helped round out the portrait of Mei Ying's family life. Zhiheng Wang brought grace and gentleness to the role, portraying a mother who struggled between tradition and empathy. In scenes where Mei Ying's freedom clashed with her parents' expectations, her mother often stood silently, her eyes full of emotion. While she never spoke directly against her husband, her glances often betrayed internal conflict, especially in moments when she saw her daughter in pain. Zhiheng Wang's career has included supporting roles in Chinese dramas and films focused on family dynamics, and she continues to work steadily in domestic productions. Though her role in The Karate Kid was small, her emotional restraint gave weight to the tension inside the Parker-Mei Ying storyline. Sometimes the quietest performances leave the most lasting impressions. Before Dre boarded that plane to Beijing, there was one familiar face rooting for him: his childhood friend in Detroit, played by Jared Mins. Though his screen time was brief, Jared gave the film one of its most emotionally grounded moments. A farewell between two boys who'd grown up together, now facing separation. The basketball court scenes, the teasing, the hug at the train station all conveyed a deep sense of home, now lost. Jared Mins was a young actor with a background in theater, and his chemistry with Jaden Smith felt effortless. After the film, Jared continued to pursue performing arts, but eventually shifted toward education and community work, focusing on youth programs in underprivileged areas. In 2025, he remains active behind the scenes, often speaking about the impact of arts in shaping confidence. His brief role remains memorable because he represented everything Dre was forced to leave behind: safety, comfort, and identity. Zhuang was one of Cheng's loyal followers, a fierce student of Master Li who mirrored the cold, brutal teachings of the Fighting Dragons. Portrayed by Yi Zhao, Zhuang appeared in several key moments, especially in scenes that showcased the group's collective intimidation toward Dr. He rarely spoke, but his expressions and physical presence made him an unmistakable part of the threat Dre faced. Yi Zhao was a promising young martial artist when cast in the film. His wushu background gave his movements a crispness that enhanced the film's fight choreography, particularly in the tournament montage. After The Karate Kid, he returned to China and continued training, eventually becoming a coach for junior martial arts programs. In 2025, he is known more for his role as a mentor than an actor. Still, fans remember Zhuang not for lines or spotlight, but for how effectively he contributed to the pressure Dre had to overcome, a silent wall of strength shaped by fear. Among Chung's gang of bullies, Song stood out with his fierce energy and relentless obedience to Master Li's code. Played by Bo Jang, he was quick to act, fast to strike, and always one step behind his leader. His fighting style was aggressive and his loyalty unquestioned, until the final moments of the film began to challenge those values. Bo Jang, already an accomplished martial artist at the time, brought a real edge to the role, helping create the feeling that Dre was never safe. His fight sequences, especially during the training scenes and tournament rounds, were sharp and intimidating. After The Karate Kid, Bo remained involved in the martial arts world, eventually moving into choreography and performance consulting for action films. By 2025, he is recognized more for his behind-the-scenes work shaping the next generation of fight scenes in cinema. As Song, he left a lasting impression, not as a lead, but as a shadow Dre had to outrun to find peace. Harry was one of Dre's first glimpses of friendliness in Beijing, an American classmate who brought humor and warmth during Dre's lonely adjustment. Played by Luke Carberry, a real-life expat in China, Harry stood out for his authenticity and charm. His cheerful attitude and cultural fluency gave Dre and the audience a sense of comfort in an otherwise foreign place. Luke was just 14 when the film was released, and his natural performance stemmed from lived experience rather than formal acting training. After The Karate Kid, Luke returned to a more private life, focusing on academics and staying largely out of the entertainment industry. As of 2025, he is known to be living abroad, involved in international education. Though Harry wasn't a major character, he left a lasting impression, not through action or conflict, but by simply being kind. Sometimes, that's the character who matters most in someone's story. Mark was another classmate who helped color Dre's early days in his new school. Cheerful, curious, and always nearby when comic relief was needed. He was played by Cameron Hillman, whose youthful energy added lightness to scenes filled with tension. Mark and Harry, as a duo, became symbolic of the small support system Dre slowly built in a place that felt overwhelming. Though Cameron didn't pursue acting after The Karate Kid, his on-screen chemistry with the cast, especially during classroom scenes, helped ground the film in reality. By 2025, Cameron is known to be working in the creative arts, reportedly involved in youth outreach and theater production. Mark's presence in the film reminds us that not every character has to be central to be meaningful. In the moments between fights and training montages, he gave Dre and us something very simple but rare, a sense of normalcy. Oz appeared as one of Dre's international classmates in Beijing, a background character who, though silent for much of the story, represented the global fabric of Dre's new school. Portrayed by Guy Samuel Brown, a young American living in China at the time, Oz brought realism to the school's multicultural setting. His presence in scenes such as the school courtyard or classroom environments added depth to Dre's experience. Guy, like many of the international children cast in the film, was chosen more for his natural fit and personality than acting background. After The Karate Kid, he did not continue in the entertainment industry and has kept a very low profile since. By 2025, public records indicate he is involved in cross-cultural education initiatives. While Oz may not have had a speaking role, he helped complete the canvas of Dre's new world, one filled with unfamiliar faces, each with stories of their own. Dang was part of the martial arts ecosystem that surrounded Dre during his training and competition journey, a quiet yet visually powerful presence. Portrayed by Rocky Shi, a skilled martial artist, Dang appeared in tournament scenes and training montages, helping give the film its authentic kung fu atmosphere. Though he had no dialogue, Rocky's performance spoke through motion and discipline. His background in traditional martial arts gave his scenes with the fighting dragons and at the Kung Fu tournament a sense of sharp realism. After the film, Rocky Shi continued to compete in wushu competitions and later transitioned into stunt coordination and martial arts instruction. By 2025, he's known in both China and the U.S. as a respected fight choreographer. While Dang may be a name many viewers don't remember, the energy Rocky brought helped elevate the martial arts scenes, not just in choreography, but in authenticity. Mrs. Po may have had no lines, but her presence was unforgettable. Seen practicing Tai Chi with perfect calm in the courtyard, she embodied serenity, the soul of Chinese martial arts. Played by Ji Wang, a Tai Chi master from Beijing, Mrs. Po became one of the film's most visually poetic figures. She reminded both Dre and the audience that Kung Fu wasn't just about fighting, it was about balance, breath, and inner peace. Ji Wang, already well known in Tai Chi communities, was cast for her real-life mastery, not acting background. Her fluid movement and graceful form became a visual mantra throughout Dre's training journey. After The Karate Kid, she returned to teaching in local parks and wellness centers, advocating for Tai Chi's mental and physical benefits. In 2025, now in her early 70s, she remains a respected instructor. Mrs. Po's silent wisdom still lingers, a character who said nothing yet taught everything. The music instructor at Mei Ying School was the embodiment of pressure and perfectionism, a stern figure whose disapproval after Mei Ying missed her audition reflected the harsh consequences of lost discipline. Played by British actor Harry Van Gorkum, the character had only a few lines but left a strong emotional impact, especially in the scene where he walks out, dismissing her apology. Harry, known for his extensive career in television and film, Friends, The Princess Diaries 2, brought gravitas and a cool sharpness to the role. By 2025, Harry continues to act across TV and independent film projects, often cast in authoritative or mentor-like roles. Though the music instructor was a small role in The Karate Kid, his silent disappointment amplified Mei Ying's emotional burden, making her later reunion with Dre feel even more hard-earned. It's a reminder that sometimes the world doesn't wait for second chances, even when a heart is in the right place. The history teacher in Dre's new Beijing school was a brief but friendly figure, a Western presence in an Eastern setting, gently guiding Dre through lessons and classroom life. Played by Tess Ducray, the role helped normalize the international school environment where students of all backgrounds learned side by side. Though Tess had limited screen time, her performance felt warm and approachable, contrasting the harsher outside world Dre often faced. Tess Ducray, an actress and educator, has appeared in both Chinese and international productions, often in supporting roles that emphasize cross-cultural stories. By 2025, she remains active in bilingual theater education programs, working to bridge language and cultural gaps through performance. Her role in The Karate Kid may have been fleeting, but it added a subtle layer of safety and routine for Dre, showing that even in a foreign land, education could be a shared language. The tournament doctor played a brief but critical role in the film's emotional peak. The intense final match between Dre and Chang, played by Xin-Hua Guo. The doctor examines Dre after he is brutally injured, delivering the tense verdict that determines whether the boy can continue. His calm professionalism under pressure made the stakes of the moment feel real. Though his appearance was short, the weight of his decision and Dre's defiant will to fight created one of the film's most iconic scenes. Xin-Hua Guo is a Chinese actor and medical consultant who has occasionally worked on film productions for accuracy in portraying medical roles. By 2025, he is known for his work training actors in emergency response realism. The tournament doctor's face may not be as widely remembered as Dre's final kick, but his presence was essential in that split-second choice. Stop the fight or let courage take over. Mrs. Tsai was a maternal and comforting figure in the community, believed to be the building superintendent or neighbor within Dre's apartment complex. Though her role was small, her warm demeanor brought a human touch to Dre and Sherry's otherwise unfamiliar surroundings. Played by Yanyan Wu, a veteran Chinese actress known for portraying motherly and neighborly figures, Mrs. Z appeared in scenes offering subtle gestures of kindness, like opening doors or helping with local customs. Yanyan Wu has had a steady career in Chinese film and television, often appearing in stories centered on family and tradition. As of 2025, she continues to act in domestic dramas. While Mrs. Dai had no major plot arc, she added an important texture to the film, a reminder that not all parts of Dre's world were hostile. Her quiet compassion helped make Beijing feel, slowly, a little more like home. The tournament announcer brought energy, excitement, and authenticity to the Karate Kid's climactic final sequence. Played by Tao Ji, his voice guided viewers through the high-stakes kung fu matches, setting the tone for each round and building suspense as Dre advanced. Though he was never seen extensively on screen, his vocal presence played a pivotal role in the film's pacing, especially in the final showdown between Dre and Cheng. Tao Ji, a professional actor and voice talent in China, had experience in live martial arts commentary, which made his delivery feel natural and exhilarating. As of 2025, he continues to work in broadcasting and event hosting, particularly for traditional sports. While the audience watched Dre face his fears, it was Tao's cadence that raised their pulse, reminding us that sometimes the narrator can be just as important in helping a story land punch by punch. 15 years later, The Karate Kid 2010 still holds a special place in our hearts, not just for the kung fu, but for the courage, kindness, and quiet strength it inspired. These characters grew with us, stayed with us, and reminded us that every journey begins with a single step or a jacket. Which actor did you grow up watching? Share your memories with us in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep the spirit alive.